We begin tonight, far below the noise of the contemporary world, descending deep into the humid, emerald heart of the Mayan lowlands, where the past is not a memory, but a breath, a faint scent of wet earth, an ancient lime, and where time itself moves with a different slower rhythm, measured not by the clock on the wall, but by the silent, deliberate cycle of celestial gears turning in the black, velvet sky above the tall, reaching canopy. A place known to the world now as Palenque, a city that sleeps beneath a heavy, damp blanket of green, dreaming of its own vast history, of the kings who walked its cool, shadowed plazas, and of the scribes, the Agib, whose quiet hands held the ultimate power, the power to record and therefore to control the flow of eternity, the very essence of the cosmos. So let the world fade now. Let the sound of traffic and the small concerns of the day recede into the distance, and instead listen to the gentle, rhythmic hum of the jungle as it settles around you, a chorus of chirps and whispers, the soft drip of moisture falling from high leaves onto the slick, dark stones that pave the long-abandoned courtyard of the palace, a palace that still stands, its stone architecture pale against the backdrop of an endless, consuming forest, its towers rising like sleeping sentinels that have witnessed more than 1,000 years of sunrises and rainfalls. And we will move now, very slowly, through the shadowed archways, feeling the cool, still air settle against our skin, an air that carries the ghost of copal smoke and the faint, unmistakable smell of freshly applied plaster. Because this is where the scribes worked, within these walls, sheltered from the relentless tropical sun, their world defined by the light of a single flickering flame and the vast, demanding blankness of their canvas. The freshly prepared limestone slabs, or the folded pages of fig bark paper, known as hoon, waiting patiently for the intricate precision of the brush, for the hand that would translate the movements of the planets and the pronouncements of the sacred calendar into the flowing, elegant geometry of the glyphs, the sacred writings that chronicled the reigns of kings, like Anish Janab Pakal, the first and recorded dates stretching millions of years into both the future and the past, linking the transient moment of a king's accession to the immutable, endless rotation of the heavens. So let us imagine them now, sitting cross-legged on the stone floor, the only sounds the soft, almost imperceptible scrape of a carved stylus, the slight rustle of the hoon as a sheet is turned, and the very distant, ever-present sigh of the jungle. A natural metronome keeping pace with the steady, careful hand of the scribe who knows that the glyph he forms today is not just a record of a recent ceremony or a newly declared war, but a permanent, sacred anchor point in the long count, a cosmic accounting that extends far beyond the human lifespan, demanding utter focus and a profound quietude, a ritualistic stillness that we can now borrow for our own peace, allowing this historical scene to become the soft, deep well of your own rest, imagining the scribe whose name is forgotten now, but whose work remains, dipping the fine deer hairbrush into a small polished shell holding the rich black ink, a deep, carbon-based color that seems to drink the light of the fire and tracing the outline of its Ulkin day sign, perhaps. Kaban, the earth shaker, a glyph, representing rhythm and intellectual awakening. Then carefully moving to inscribe the number 4 to accompany it, knowing that this pairing must be perfect, must align not only visually, but astronomically, spiritually, with the great cycles of creation and destruction. A process repeated hundreds of thousands of times over the life of the city, filling temples, palaces, and codices with a deep, dense knowledge of the cosmos, a legacy that patiently waited for centuries beneath the roots of the kapok trees, hidden from the world and from the sun, preserving the silent rhythm of the past for us tonight, right here, in the cool darkness of the palace room, where the memory of the scribe Espereth still lingers in the stone. And as you visualize this scene of profound, quiet work, let the sounds of the surrounding jungle, the rhythmic chirping of the cicadas, and the occasional deep-throated call of a howler monkey in the distance begin to synchronize with your own breathing, guiding you toward a more complete and restful state, imagining the ancient air heavy with humidity and the metallic temps of earth pressing gently against you, grounding you to this place, to this ancient moment of profound intellectual concentration, the scribe now moving his attention from the ritual calendar to the secular one. The hub, marking the precise position within the 365-day year, a meticulous alignment necessary for every official record, every monument's dedication, every political marriage. Because, in the Maya world, a date was not merely a timestamp, but a cosmological address, a unique point where earthly actions met celestial fate, ensuring that every glyph painted or carved served not only as a historical truth, but as a spiritual assurance that the kingdom remained in harmony with the great, spiraling narrative of creation. And we can now follow the scribe's methodical pace as he selects the jade-tipped stylus, the jade cool and heavy in his hand, a gift from the king perhaps, or an heirloom passed down through generations of the Ajib lineage, and he begins to lightly score the soft surface of the plaster, preparing the field for the deep, elegant inscription. His focus so complete that the rest of the world has vanished. The great courtyard outside, the watchful eyes of the royal guard, the distant sound of the ceremonial drum, all of it reduced to a faint, irrelevant echo against the immediacy of the task, which is to precisely render the intricate face of the patron deity of the current Kayatan. 20-year cycle, a task requiring the specialized knowledge of a trained priest, a mathematician, and an artist, all combined into the single, solitary figure of the scribe, the man whose every action is a meditation on time itself, on its nature as both cyclical and linear, as both infinitely repeating and utterly unique. And as you listen to the rhythmic cadence of my voice, let the sound become like the quiet hum of that deep focus, a protective shell against any intruding thoughts, knowing that you are being safely carried by the flow of this ancient history, a river of slow, deliberate narrative that is designed to smooth out the ripples of your day, replacing anxiety with an appreciation for the vast, deep patience of stone and time. And we visualize the temple outside, the great temple of the inscriptions, where the greatest scribal work of Palenque resides, not in fragile codices, but in the permanent language of the stone panels, 3 enormous slabs covered entirely in glyphs, containing the longest continuous Maya text known to the world. A text that recounts the reign and lineage of Pakol the Great, extending his ancestry back to the primordial creation of the world, thousands of years before the temple was built, the ultimate act of historical justification and divine connection. A work of such monumental effort that it must have occupied the hands and minds of dozens of scribes for decades, each one meticulously plotting the columns and rows, ensuring that the flowing, organic shapes of the human and animal forms that make up the the toucan heads, the Kayan sun faces, the complex Ahau glyphs of kingship were, all rendered with perfect spiritual and historical accuracy. A collaborative, quiet effort spanning a lifetime of dedication, and we can now feel the weight of that history, the serene, immovable presence of that enormous stone pyramid, rising silently just beyond the palace, its heightened mass a testament to the belief in the enduring nature of their civilization, a belief that was articulated and guaranteed by the precision of the scribes, the quiet, humble guardians of the royal memory, the very men who could summon up the ghosts of the past simply by painting a date, linking the year 600 AD to the year 3114 BC, a linkage that proved the continuity and the divinity of the current ruler, offering a sense of stability that we can now absorb into our own bodies and minds, accepting the deep truth that some things like the passage of the planets and the slow erosion of stone move with a relentless, gentle certainty, demanding nothing from us but quiet observation and peaceful rest. So let us breathe in the cool, mossy air of the jungle that has now claimed this city, an air that is thick with the knowledge of time, passing of empires rising and falling, and we recognize that the very act of listening to this long-flowing narrative is to participate in that quiet, rhythmic history, to become one with the slow turning of the cosmic wheel that the scribes sought so meticulously to map, allowing the deep, continuous flow of the words to wash over you, smoothing out the tensions in your neck and shoulders, releasing the small knots of worry that cling to the edges of your mind, replacing them instead with the image of the careful rhythmic strokes of the scribe's brush, tracing the outline of a sky serpent glyph, a symbol of celestial travel and the passage of the sun, and the image of the sun itself, a bold, simple circle of life-giving power which rises every day, regardless of the chaos. On the ground, a constant, reliable force that guarantees the continuity of the cycles. a guarantee that translates directly into the deep, uninterrupted rest you are about to receive, a rest that is as vast and as quiet as the jungle outside Palenque, when the moon is high and the only movement is the slow, deliberate turning of the celestial gears that have marked time since the beginning of all things, since the ancient zero point of the long count, a moment of deep, profound peace that we now fully embrace. We shift our focus now from the quiet work of the palace scribe to the great processional path that leads away from the royal chambers and up toward the three magnificent structures known collectively as the Cross Group, specifically the Temple of the Foliated Cross, a name given by modern archaeologists but which holds within its shadowed sanctuary the very essence of the Maya connection to the living, breathing energy of the corn god and the sacred cycle of nourishment and rebirth. And we ascend the steep worn steps, now slowly, deliberately, feeling the cool stone beneath our hands. Stones laid by generations of dedicated workers, each step a testament to the enduring faith and the celestial authority of the king, who was himself the embodiment of the corn god, the one who rises and dies and rises again, guaranteeing the harvest, a divine cycle that required the scrupulous accounting of the scribes to ensure its proper execution. And we visualize the temple's central tablet, a massive carved panel protected from the weather and the sun by the deep inset of the chamber, a panel that displays not a cross of suffering but a towering, stylized tree of life, the ultimate expression of the cosmos, rooted in the underworld and reaching its branches into the heavens, its trunk adorned with the symbolic maize plant that is the heart of the Maya world. And beside this cosmic tree, depicted in elegant, lower-leaf sculpture, stand two figures of profound significance, one being Kainish Ganbalam, two, the son of the king who commissioned this temple, and the other figure representing his father, Pakal, or perhaps a deified ancestor, presenting a symbol of kingship or authority, a moment frozen forever in stone, its meaning secured by the detailed, flowing columns of glyphs that frame the scene. These glyphs being the silent, invisible narrative thread that runs through the entire visual spectacle, explaining the precise date of the ceremony, the name of the king, the ritual actions performed, and the cosmic event being referenced. A text so dense with information that only the specialized scribes could fully unlock its meaning, and we allow the deep, quiet rhythm of this ancient narrative to continue to settle our minds and bodies, pulling us deeper and deeper into a state of profound relaxation, moving past the specific details of the scene and focusing only on the slow, meticulous pace of its creation, imagining the master sculptor, who is often a high-ranking scribe himself, or supervised closely by one, measuring the precise dimensions of the tablet, transferring the delicate, detailed sketch made on hewn paper onto the hard limestone surface using a charcoal guide, a process requiring weeks of painstaking work, each chisel stroke slow and deliberate, designed not to hasten the creation but to perfect the communication, to ensure that the message carved into the stone would endure for 1,000 years. The permanent record of a perfect alignment between heaven and earth, a cosmic truth that no subsequent ruler could ever erase or deny, and we feel the depth of that. Commitment to longevity, to the idea of a message meant for eternity, a concept that dwarfs our own modern sense of immediacy and urgency, replacing it with a comforting, ancient patience, a quality that is the cornerstone of deep, restorative rest. Imagining the high-ranking priest scribe, the Akayuhun, whose title means he of the holy books, overseeing the transcription, his presence, ensuring that the precise glyphs for the date 9.12/19.1412 were rendered with impeccable accuracy, marking the dedication of the temple and linking it to the long count, a number representing the count of days since the mythical beginning of the current era, a number that resonates with deep mathematical and cosmological significance, a number that in its very complexity forces the mind into a state of silent, rapt attention. And as you listen, let the idea of this perfect, rhythmic measurement of time become the structure of your own sleep, a guarantee of continuity, a sense that the world outside can continue its rotation without any immediate demand on your attention, because the scribes, those meticulous ancient timekeepers, have everything precisely under control their work, a smooth, endless chronicle that requires nothing more from you than to simply listen and rest, and we visualize the small, dark chamber of the temple itself, smelling faintly of ancient stone and the jungle's damp breath, the place where the elite of Palenque would have gathered, the light from the entrance cast dancing shadows across the carved panels as a royal ceremony took place, a ritual of invocation and reaffirmation. A celebration of the cycle of corn and the king's sacred authority, a moment documented not only in the grand public sculptures but in the more intimate, hidden journals and codices of the scribes' records that told the how and the why of the event, providing the necessary context and the detailed prayers and incantations that accompanied the monumental declarations in stone, texts that detailed the exact pitch of the ceremonial drums, the quantity of copal incense burned, the precise feather arrangements on the headdresses, all of it catalogued by the AI Jib to ensure that the ritual, the essence of the cosmic contract, could be repeated perfectly in the next cycle, a focus on procedural perfection that is profoundly calming to the modern mind, replacing the chaotic nature of the present with the orderly, predictable demands of an ancient, sacred tradition. And we are now moving our attention to the ink itself, the essential material of the scribe's craft, the rich, matte black ink made from soot and water, perhaps mixed with a binding agent from tree sap or even a touch of copal resin to give it a pleasing texture and a lasting quality in the brilliant, vibrant red ink. A color so important it was derived from cinnabar or hematite. A color symbolizing blood fire and the rising sun, the two colors used in combination to distinguish the day names and coefficients of the calendar. The red for the sacred count, the black for the secular dates, a simple visual language that communicated profound, complex, temporal information at a glance, a system of elegant economy that contrasts sharply with the frantic information overload of our own time, offering instead a sense of visual and intellectual calm, and we imagine the scribe's hand dark-stained from years of work, meticulously cleaning the shells that hold the precious pigments, preparing his tools, not as a rushed chore but as a slow, respected ritual, the cleaning, the grinding, the mixing, all done with a quiet focus that acts as a gateway to the deep, creative meditation required for the work, the kind of focus that dissolves the self into the task, a dissolution that is the very definition of a peaceful mind. And we can now participate in that deep, quiet preparation, allowing the repetitive, rhythmic nature of the imagination to quiet our own internal dialogue, sinking us further into the welcoming darkness of the present moment, listening to the soft, gentle rustle of the surrounding foliage as a light tropical breeze moves through the high forest canopy, a natural sound that is always present, always soothing and never demanding, a sound that existed when the temple of the foliated cross was dedicated and exists now as you drift toward a deeper rest, a seamless continuity of sound and sensation that wraps around you like a heavy, comforting blanket, pulling your awareness away from the light and toward the cool, dark center of yourself, where the deepest, most restorative sleep resides. A place where the cycles of time continue their rhythmic, gentle turning without any concern for the human need to hurry or achieve, and we surrender fully to this ancient, pervasive patience, accepting the slow, deliberate pace of the jungle, the slow, eternal pace of the celestial rotation, and the slow, perfect pace of the scribe's brush, tracing the outlines of a god's face or a king's name into the permanent, unmoving record of the stone, a process that ensures the story continues long after the man is gone, offering a final comforting thought that your rest tonight is part of a cosmic ancient cycle, perfectly measured and perfectly safe, and that all is well and aligned in the universe you inhabit tonight. We now turn our inner gaze toward the very heart of the royal complex, the magnificent palace itself, an intricate labyrinth of courtyards, subterranean passages, and long, low galleries that serve not just as the residence of the ruler, but as the nerve center of the entire kingdom, the place where all political, religious, and indeed, scribal power was consolidated, and we feel the transition from the sacred height of the temples to the enclosed, protective intimacy of the royal court, a space defined by flowing water channels, and the heavy, humid air trapped beneath the high, corbel vaulted ceilings, where the king, the Kawalaja, held court, received tribute, and most importantly, dictated the narrative of his own reign, a dictation that was immediately captured by the waiting scribes, the quiet men who stood at the intersection of word and immortality, their notebooks and rolls of Hoon, always ready to transform the ephemeral sound of the king's voice into the permanent, enduring language of the glyphs. And we visualize the most remarkable structure of the palace complex, the observation tower, a 4-story, vertical anomaly that breaks the horizontal rhythm of the surrounding architecture. its narrow windows and steep internal staircases suggesting a specialized, almost monastic function, a place designed not for public display, but for precise, private observation. A silent sentinel that watches the horizon, and we understand now that this tower was almost certainly the domain of the highest-ranking scribes and astronomers. The men whose duty was to chart the movements of the sun, the moon, and Venus with such obsessive accuracy that they could predict eclipses and align every major royal event to the moments of cosmological power, a constant, nocturnal vigilance that guaranteed the king's actions were always in harmony with the will of the gods. And as you drift deeper, we can imagine the scribe, the archaean, or he of the sun, climbing the dark, winding stairs of the tower on a clear, star-dusted night, carrying not a telescope but a simple set of sighting instruments, perhaps a pair of crossed sticks, or a frame with precise alignments carved into the stone windowsills. Tools of profound simplicity that yielded astonishing accuracy when coupled with generations of accumulated knowledge. And he settles into the cool stone embrasure of the highest room, the single source of light being the vast silent spectacle of the tropical sky, a sight that forces the observer into a state of deep, contemplative stillness. The only sound, a soft, rhythmic chirping of the night creatures below, a natural, ancient sound that accompanies your own journey into rest, pulling your thoughts away from any immediate anxiety and replacing them with the vast, quiet expanse of the cosmos, the silent, orderly march of the planets, a march that the scribes sought to capture in their tables and knowing that the Kinde, the Wino 20 days, the Ton 360 days, the Kayaton 20 tons, and the Berkton 20 Kayatons were all interlocking gears in a single, magnificent, predictable machine. A machine that the scribes understood intimately and could predict across thousands of years, offering a deeply reassuring sense of order that settles your breathing and calms your heart, knowing that everything is, on a cosmic scale, precisely where it should be. And we can now picture the scribe meticulously carving his latest observation onto a bone tally stick, or painting it onto a small, stiff piece of folded bark paper recording the exact azimuth and zenith of Venus as it rose as the morning star, a sighting crucial for planning the next military campaign or accession date, because the Maya did not guess at the future, they calculated it. And this calculation was the sacred trust of the scribal class, a trust that transcended political squabbles and personal ambition, demanding absolute purity of focus, a purity that we can now absorb into our own resting minds, releasing the small, impure clutter of daily thoughts and embracing the vast, clean geometry of the celestial sphere, letting the names of the gods associated with the calendar and the stars at Somna, the creator god, patron of the scribes, Ki, Nich, how the sun god become the quiet, powerful guardians of your sleep-standing watch in the stillness of the observation, tower their vigilance, a promise that the cycles will continue, that the sun will rise, and that your rest is safe and guaranteed. A rest as deep and as permanent as the roots of the jungle trees that wrap around the ancient stones of the palace, holding them fast against the slow, relentless erosion of time. Our quiet journey through the history of Palenque now leads us to recognize a truth often overlooked in the grand narrative of kings and battles, the profound and often decisive role played by royal women in maintaining the dynasty, a role that was crucially recorded and solidified by the work of the scribes, because in the Maya world, lineage and maternal descent were just as vital as male succession, and the king's right to rule was frequently traced back through the powerful queens and princesses who brought the necessary ancestral bloodlines from other great cities, acting as living conduits for legitimacy. And we focus our attention on the elegant depiction of Lady Sakku, the mother of Pakal the Great, the woman who ruled Palenque before her son was old enough to ascend the throne, a time when her political acumen and her strong claim to the dynasty were essential to the city's survival. And we note the way the scribes immortalized her importance, not merely as a footnote, but as a primary subject of monumental inscriptions, especially in the elaborate text found on the sarcophagus lid of her son, Pakal, a masterpiece of Maya art and history, where her name and titles are carefully carved in the language of eternal stone, linking her lineage explicitly to the celestial origins of the Palenque dynasty, an act of scribal authority that recognized and codified female power. A careful, deliberate choice that we can now use as an anchor for our awareness, appreciating the deep complexity of this ancient social order that valued documented lineage above all else. And we visualize the scribe, perhaps a specialized court scribe assigned specifically to the Queen Mother, meticulously crafting the glyphs of her name. Cook, meaning Quetzal, the magnificent green-plumed bird, a symbol of royalty and preciousness, combining it with Sac, meaning white or pure, a name that evokes both beauty and divine authority. And the rendering of these name glyphs was an art form in itself, each one a portrait in miniature, requiring not only technical skill, but a deep understanding of the spiritual weight carried by every single stroke of the brush or chisel, a quiet, focused effort that is profoundly calming to observe, replacing the chaotic movement of the world with the measured, deliberate process of artistic creation and historical preservation. And we recognize that the scribes, by faithfully recording the marriage alliances and birth dates of these powerful women, were performing the ultimate act of political stability. Their record-keeping acting as the ironclad contract that bound rival cities together and guaranteed the flow of divine power from one generation to the next. A deep, pervasive sense of order that sinks into our bones as we relax, letting the memory of their meticulous work become the quiet rhythm of our own descent into deep rest, feeling the cool, still air of the palace rooms, imagining the rustle of the queen's ceremonial jade beads, the soft, rhythmic sound of her sandals on the polished stucco floor as she issues an order or attends a ritual. And every one of these moments, every birth, every significant ceremony, every diplomatic exchange, was observed, recorded, and fixed in time by the silent, omnipresent presence of the Ajib, the chronicler of the royal truth, the keeper of the most vital information, the dates and parentage that justified the entire superstructure of the state. And we absorb the deep, secure feeling of a history perfectly documented, a lineage perfectly traced, a sense of flawless continuity that is the ultimate guarantee of a peaceful night, knowing that you are cradled in the vast ancient order that the Scribes of Palenque charted so many centuries ago, allowing the memory of their quiet dedication to be the final gentle thought that guides you into an even deeper, more profound state of rest, a state where the only remaining movement is the slow, steady rhythm of your own breathing. Now we delve into the most astonishing aspect of the scribal achievement, the mastery of Maya mathematics and astronomy, a system so sophisticated it rivals any in the ancient world, enabling the scribes not only to record time but to predict it across vast cosmic stretches. And we approach their mathematical system with a quiet respect, focusing on its elegance and profound simplicity. A vigesimal, or base 20 system, relying on only three symbols, a .41, a bar 45, and a shell shape 40, a concept which the Maya mastered centuries before its use became common in other parts of the world. And we visualize the scribe demonstrating this system, perhaps teaching a young apprentice, painting the simple, elegant glyphs onto a smooth, flat stone slate, the dot and bar system allowing for rapid, clear calculation and the ability to handle numbers of enormous magnitude, a complexity necessary for charting the long count which measures time from a mythical starting date, the 0 point of the current creation, a date equivalent to August 11, 3114 BC, a seemingly arbitrary but cosmologically vital moment from which every single recorded day is measured. And we understand that this long count was the ultimate tool of the scribe, the Arkayu-Han, keeper of the holy books, allowing him to fix any event, a king's birth, a temple dedication, a battle victory at a unique, unambiguous point in cosmic history, a point that could never be repeated, offering a powerful contrast to the cyclical nature of their ritual calendars. And as we drift, we can appreciate the pure intellectual beauty of this system, the deep, satisfying logic of its structure, replacing the fuzzy, imprecise calculations of our daily lives with the clean, rhythmic certainty of a base 20 mathematics, a logic that soothes the analytical part of the mind and encourages a release into deep quietude. Imagining the scribes using their knowledge of the lunar series to precisely track the moon's phases, calculating the length of the lunar month with such accuracy that their figures differed from modern measurements by only a few minutes over hundreds of years, a feat accomplished using only their naked eyes and the precision of their mathematics. and we see them sitting in the quiet of the palace. Library, not a grand hall, but a cool, dry room filled with stacks of folded hewn paper codices. Their surfaces covered in tables detailing the complex cycles of Venus, the god of war and rebirth, charting its 584-day cycle with astonishing perfection. Knowing that every military action and ceremonial bloodletting had to be aligned with the rising or setting of Venus, turning the scribe from a mere recorder into a critical military and political strategist, the man whose calculations determined the success or failure of the kingdom, a responsibility that demanded an almost superhuman level of calm and meticulous accuracy, and we recognize the immense, quiet power of that intellectual mastery, letting the rhythm of their calculations bar, shell, become a gentle, hypnotic pulse in the background of our minds, replacing any restless or anxious thoughts with the profound, dependable certainty of the ancient Maya cosmos, a universe governed not by chance, but by perfect, predictable, divine numbers, all of it recorded by the patient, steady hand of the Palenque scribes, offering a final, comforting guarantee of order as we sink deeper into the most complete rest. Our exploration now focuses intimately on the daily life and physical craft of the Ayajib, the humble yet deeply respected existence of the royal scribe within the Palenque court, a life that was one of routine ritual and endless focused work, where the mastery of the brush was as important as the mastery of astronomical equations. And we visualize the scribe's essential toolkit, simple, organic objects imbued with the power of their function. The deer hair brush, perhaps sourced from the tail of a wild deer, carefully trimmed and shaped to hold a perfect point, capable of rendering the most intricate glyphic curves and flourishes. The various styluses, some pointed from jade for fine engraving, others tipped with bone or flint for scoring soft plaster, and the palette, consisting of polished shells or small ceramic bowls, holding the precious permanent pigments, the deep carbon black ink derived from soot and resin, and the vibrant Maya blue, a stable, enduring color created from a complex mix of indigo dye and a specific type of clay, a color whose chemical secrets baffled modern science for centuries. A beautiful, lasting legacy of the scribe's artistic and chemical genius, and we can now feel the tactile quality of the scribe's workspace, the smooth, cool stone table or the raised plaster platform where he prepared his materials, the rhythmic sound of the grinding pestle crushing, hematite for the ritual red ink, the careful process of mixing the pigments to achieve the precise consistency required for the flowing script on the porous surface of the hewn paper, a paper made by boiling and pounding the bark of the fig tree until it formed thin, pliable sheets, which were then folded accordion style into the famed codices, the precious, fragile books that contained the core of Maya knowledge, and we let the steady, repetitive nature of this craft act as a profound soother, a meditation on procedural perfection, where every action, from sharpening the tool to stretching the paper, contributes to the final, permanent record of time and kingship. And we observe the scribe at his task, writing a letter of tribute, recording the inventory of the royal storerooms, or preparing the draft of a temple panel, his entire body quiet, his focus concentrated entirely in the small, controlled movement of his hand, a hand that moved not in haste, but in a deliberate, measured rhythm that mirrored the slow, perfect turning of the cosmic cycles he was recording. A rhythm we now borrow for our own comfort, allowing it to synchronize with our breath and our pulse, slowing everything down to a state of deep, quiet equilibrium, a state where the only remaining sensation is the weight of the soft, tropical air and the gentle, constant hum of the jungle outside the protective walls of the palace. A sound that has accompanied the scribes through centuries of dedicated work, a sound that now accompanies us, ensuring our rest is as deep, as continuous, and as perfectly ordered as the long count calendar itself, a testament to the quiet, enduring power of the written word and the hands that shaped it into immortality. We conclude our deep journey into Palenque by moving forward in time, past the peak of the great kings and the brilliant era of the scribes, to the quiet, melancholy period of the city's eventual abandonment, a gradual process that began in the late 8th century AD, when the population began to dwindle, the royal authority weakened, and the meticulous work of carving new stele and documenting the long counts slowly, almost imperceptibly ceased, and we walk now through the great courtyards and up the steps of the temples, noting the absence of sound, the heavy, pervasive silence that fell over the city as the elite dispersed, and the jungle, the patient, eternal green force, began its slow, relentless process of reclamation, wrapping its roots around the carefully carved stones, pushing against the stucco walls, and swallowing the entire city back into the damp emerald. Folds of the earth, a silence that is not one of desolation, but one of profound deep rest, permanent quietude that we can now fully embrace. Letting the history of rise and fall teach us the deep truth of impermanence and the comfort of final stillness. And we recognize that the last, enduring voice of Palenque belongs to the scribes, the quiet, persistent, Ajib, whose work was so precisely executed and so deeply embedded in the stone that it survived the subsequent centuries of silence, preserving the entire narrative of the city for modern eyes. The only reason we know the names of Pakal, Kenbolam, and Lady Sakkekak is because the scribes ensured their immortality through the permanent language of the glyphs, a legacy of paper and stone that outlasted the armies, the politics, and the people themselves. And as you listen to the final, slow rhythm of my voice, we absorb the quiet power of this legacy, recognizing that the effort to measure and record time was the ultimate victory over time itself, allowing their voices to echo from the distant past right into this moment of your deep, necessary rest, a voice that speaks of order of cosmic cycles, and of a world that is vast, beautiful, and utterly predictable in its deep, rhythmic turning, allowing the pervasive sound of the jungle, the rustle of leaves, the distant drip of water, and the gentle, continuous flow of this long narrative to become the final, unwavering anchor that pulls you down, safely and completely, into the most profound and restorative sleep. A sleep as deep and as quiet as the ancient stones of Palenque, now and forever at rest beneath the patient, watchful canopy. Imagine a legend so old it has become part of the fabric of human thought, a story whispered across millennia, passed from philosopher to poet, from mystic to dreamer. This is the tale of Atlantis, the lost city, a name that conjures images of shimmering towers, advanced civilizations, and a sudden, cataclysmic disappearance. It is a story that has haunted our collective consciousness, a ghost of a golden age that may never have been. Tonight, we do not seek to prove its existence in the manner of a historian, but to explore its truth in the manner of a dreamer. We will not be in a noisy, clanking submarine, but in a tranquil vessel of the mind, a vessel that glides silently through the profound, silent abyss, far, far below the sunlit surface. We will follow not a map, but a hypothesis, a deep-sea sleep hypothesis, a quiet, contemplative journey into the heart of a myth. The very first mention of Atlantis comes not from an ancient scroll or an archaeological find, but from the dialogues of the Greek philosopher Plato, written around 360 BCE. In his works, Timaeus and Critias, Plato introduced the world to a story he claimed had been passed down from his ancestor, a wise Athenian lawgiver, who had heard it from Egyptian priests. The priests described an island empire, powerful and magnificent, that had existed 9,000 years before their time, located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which we know today as the Strait of Gibraltar. This island, they said, was larger than Libya and Asia Minor combined, and was a technological and cultural marvel. Its people, blessed by the sea god, Poseidon, were noble and virtuous. They built a grand capital with concentric rings of land and water, a network of canals, and a palace adorned with gold, silver, and a mysterious metal called orichalcum. For many generations, they were obedient to the laws and lived a life of virtue, despising wealth and luxury, their spirits uniting gentleness with wisdom. They lived in harmony with the land, their lives a model of a just and ideal state. But as time passed, the divine portion in them began to fade, diluted by their mortal nature. They became corrupted by greed, pride, and a lust for power. They became tyrannical, turning their eyes outward to conquer neighboring lands, including ancient Athens. Plato's story of Atlantis is widely considered to be an allegory, a powerful moral fable designed to illustrate a philosophical point about the dangers of hubris and the superiority of a simple, virtuous society over a powerful, materialistic one. The account ends with the people of Atlantis becoming so unseemly and corrupt that the gods, in their anger, sent a great cataclysm. In a single day and night of violent earthquakes and floods, the island of Atlantis, along with all its inhabitants, was swallowed by the sea and disappeared forever. This dramatic end has fueled the imagination of countless generations, prompting a search for a place that was, from its very inception, a literary device. Yet these stories' enduring power lies in its deep resonance, without human yearning for a lost golden age, a sense of paradise, lost. The idea of a vanished, advanced civilization speaks to a fundamental part of our psyche, a desire to believe that the past held wonders we have yet to rediscover. The search for Atlantis has led to countless theories, from the eruption of the volcano on the island of Thera in the Aegean Sea to the lost continent of Antarctica. But none of these theories have ever been able to definitively prove the existence of the city, as Plato described it. The most obvious sign that Atlantis is a myth is that no trace of it has ever been found. Despite our modern advances in oceanography and deep-sea mapping, the geology of the Earth itself, with the slow, deliberate movement of tectonic plates, shows that a continent-sized landmass could not have simply sunk into the Atlantic Ocean. But what if we reframe our search? What if we approach the myth not as a historical problem to be solved with evidence, but as a deep symbolic truth to be understood with feeling? What if the great cataclysm was not a final end, but a transformation, a descent into a new form of existence? This is the core of our deep-sea sleep hypothesis. It suggests that Atlantis did not disappear, but was simply put to sleep, its entire being transformed into a new, quiet state. As we begin our descent, let the sounds of the surface world fade away. The pressure grows, but it is not a weight, but a gentle, firm embrace. We are entering a world where time is no longer measured in minutes and hours, but in the slow drift of underwater currents. The light from above has long since vanished. We are in the realm of perpetual twilight, a place where bioluminescence is the only source of light. Small, quiet creatures drift by, their soft glows illuminating the darkness in fleeting, beautiful patterns. We pass through the thermocline, the layer of water that separates the warm, surface waters from the cold, deep sea. It feels like passing through a veil, a thin curtain that separates one world from another. Below us is the quiet realm of the deep, a place of profound stillness and unimaginable pressure, a place where the sun's light has never reached. This is where we will seek our sleeping city. This journey is not about finding physical proof. It is about an internal exploration, a gentle exercise in imagination and quiet wonder. We are not looking for a lost city to put on a map. We are seeking a lost feeling, a lost connection to a past that exists in a state of perpetual quiet. The story of Atlantis, as told by Plato, was a morality tale. It was about a people who lost their way, who succumbed to their own arrogance. Our hypothesis is a quiet revision of that tale. It is a story of a people who were not destroyed, but who were put to sleep. Their pride and their power were not obliterated, but were simply laid to rest, waiting for a new kind of awakening. The deep sea, in its stillness and its solitude, is the perfect resting place for a city that was once so loud and proud. The silence of the abyss is a gentle lullaby, a soft, constant hum that keeps the city sleeping, waiting. We are not here to wake it, but simply to sit with it. To listen to the silent hum, and to contemplate the beautiful, quiet possibility that some things are not lost, but simply resting. As we descend deeper into the abyss, our quiet vessel of the mind glides through the dark, cold water. The pressure, which at this depth is immense, is not a crushing force in our imaginative journey, but a gentle, compressing presence. It is this very pressure that is central to our deep-sea sleep hypothesis. It suggests that the city of Atlantis, rather than being broken apart and scattered across the ocean floor, was transformed into a new, coherent structure. We are not searching for a broken ruin, but for a new geocrystalline form of a lost civilization. The core of this idea lies in the understanding of how matter behaves under extreme pressure and temperature. On Earth, at certain depths in the crust, carbon is compressed into diamonds. Under the immense weight of the ocean, a similar, but more profound, transformation could have occurred to the entirety of the Atlantean city. As the city descended, the pressure of the water would have crushed and compressed the towers, the walls, the streets, and all the artifacts within. But instead of being pulverized into dust, they would have been reformed, their molecules rearranged into a dense, coherent structure. The gold and silver, the orichalcum, the stones, and even the organic matter of the people would have been fused into a single, massive, crystalline form. It would have become a single, glowing geode, a world within a world, a silent, sleeping monument. The very rock of the island would have become a new substance, a silent, geocrystalline form that pulses with a slow, internal light. The architecture of Atlantis, which Plato described as a series of concentric rings of land and water, would not have been erased. Instead, it would have been imprinted into the very structure of this new form. The rings would be visible not as distinct land masses, but as bands of different color or density within the crystalline form, a memory of their original shape. The central citadel, the Palace of Poseidon, would be the luminous core of this great geode. Its light, however, would not be a blinding beacon, but a soft, gentle glow, a quiet, internal radiance that would be barely visible to the outside world. It would be a light that speaks of stillness, of contained energy, of a profound and quiet existence. This geocrystalline transformation also applies to the inhabitants of Atlantis. As the city descended, the hypothesis suggests that the people, animals, and plants were also compressed and transformed. Their minds, their consciousness, were not extinguished, but were folded inward, like the petals of a flower closing for the night. They entered a collective dream, a shared consciousness that continues to exist in the heart of the sleeping city. They are in a state of suspended animation, a dreamless slumber that has lasted for millennia. They are not gone. They are dreaming, and their dreams are a part of the deep, a soft, quiet energy that can be felt by those who are willing to listen with a different kind of sense. The entire city, with its inhabitants, is a single, sleeping entity, a conscious crystal that lies at the bottom of the ocean. As our mental vessel glides closer, we begin to perceive this light. It is a light so soft it is almost an absence of darkness, a quiet, internal glow that gives form to the surrounding water. We can begin to make out the shape of the great geode, its surface not smooth, but faceted, like a thousand-sided gem. The pressure around us is immense, yet the light of the geode seems to push back the darkness, creating a small, quiet sphere of luminescence in the vast blackness. There are no dramatic sights, no great ruins to be explored. There is only this profound, quiet presence. It is a place of deep stillness, a place where the loud, proud city of Plato's myth has found its final and most profound state of being. The beauty of this hypothesis lies in its elegance. It resolves the central paradox of the Atlantis myth. How could such a grand city have simply vanished without a trace? The answer it provides is that the city did not vanish, but was transformed. It did not disappear, but simply changed its form, its very nature. It is a city that is both there and not there, a place that exists in a state that we, with load bustling, surface world minds, cannot fully comprehend. The transformation is also a form of penance. Plato's tale was a warning against a civilization that became too proud, too warlike, too materialistic. Our hypothesis suggests that the city's punishment was not a final, destructive end, but a quiet, humbling transformation. Their arrogance was not obliterated, but was simply laid to rest, their loud, boastful nature silenced forever by the profound stillness of the deep. The grand, magnificent city of their hubris has become a single, silent, sleeping rock. The greatest monument they ever built is not a palace or a temple, but their own quiet, transformed self. This journey is not about finding physical proof. It is about an internal exploration, a gentle exercise in imagination and quiet wonder. We are not looking for a lost city to put on a map. We are seeking a lost feeling, a lost connection to a past that exists in a state of perpetual quiet. The story of Atlantis, as told by Plato, was a morality tale. It was about a people who lost their way, who succumbed to their own arrogance. Our hypothesis is a quiet revision of that tale. It is a story of a people who were not destroyed, but who were put to sleep. Their pride and their power were not obliterated, but were simply laid to rest, waiting for a new kind of awakening. The deep sea in its stillness and its solitude is the perfect resting place for a city that was once so loud and proud. The silence of the abyss is a gentle lullaby, a soft, constant hum that keeps the city sleeping, waiting. We are not here to wake it, but simply to sit with it. To listen to the silent hum, and to contemplate the beautiful, quiet possibility that some things are not lost, but simply resting. Our quiet, mental vessel continues its gentle descent, moving ever closer to the glowing heart of our hypothesis. We have passed beyond the realm of light and sound, into a world where the only constant is a profound and ancient silence. And it is in this silence that the ocean becomes a lullaby, a soft, rhythmic hum that has cradled the sleeping city for millennia. The sea is not empty. It is filled with 1,000 quiet sounds, a symphony of gentle whispers that are normally lost in the noise of the surface world. We can hear the slow, deliberate movements of deep-sea creatures, the soft, rhythmic pulsing of a jellyfish, the gentle scuttling of a crab on the ocean floor. These are the sounds of life in its most primal, most quiet form. They are the sounds that have been the constant companions of the sleeping city, a soft, ever-present hum in the background of its great slumber. They are the lullaby of the deep, a timeless melody that whispers of a world far removed from the hurried pace of our own. The pressure of the water, which would have been a destructive force in the initial cataclysm, has become a gentle, firm embrace. It is a pressure that holds the city in its new form, that keeps it a single, coherent whole. It is a pressure that speaks not of destruction, but of containment, of a profound and quiet stillness. It is the weight of 1,000,000 years of history, compressed into a single, silent monument. This is a place where gravity feels different, where the concept of up and down is replaced by a sense of being suspended, of floating in a timeless, eternal space. As we get closer to the glowing geode, the light becomes more distinct. It is not a harsh, artificial light, but a soft, diffused glow, like 1,000 fireflies trapped within a great crystal. The light is not constant. It waxes and wanes with a slow, gentle rhythm like a slow breath. This is the living pulse of the sleeping city, the slow, rhythmic beat of 1,000 minds, dreaming a single, shared dream. The light is not for our benefit. It is an internal light, a manifestation of the contained energy of the sleeping city. We are merely witnesses to this quiet, internal life. The concept of a city in a collective dream is a profound one. We, in our waking lives, are constantly bombarded by external stimuli, by loud sounds and bright lights, and the constant demands of the world. Our dreams are often fragmented, a chaotic jumble of our waking lives. But what if a collective of 1,000,000 minds, in a state of deep sleep for millennia, were to share a single, lucid dream? What would that dream be? The hypothesis suggests that their dream is not a grand, chaotic narrative, but a profound and quiet state of being. It is a dream of stillness, of tranquility, of a return to the virtues that they had lost in their waking lives. The city, in its sleep, has become what it could not be in its waking life. A perfect utopian society, not of action and conquest, but of quiet contemplation and internal harmony. This is the beauty of the deep-sea sleep hypothesis. It takes the most dramatic and destructive part of the Atlantis, myth at a great cataclysm, and transforms it into a profound and quiet act of preservation. The city was not destroyed, it was protected. It was not wiped from the face of the earth, but was simply moved to a place where its corruption could no longer affect the world, and where its soul could be cleansed by a long, quiet slumber. The ocean, in its immense and silent power, became not an agent of destruction, but a cradle, a guardia, of a sleeping world. The deep sea is a place of profound mystery and quiet beauty. It is the perfect resting place for a city that was once so loud and proud. The silence of the abyss is a gentle lullaby, a soft, constant hum that keeps the city sleeping, waiting. We are not here to wake it, but simply to sit with it, to listen to the silent hum, and to contemplate the beautiful, quiet possibility that some things are not lost, but simply resting. This journey is not about finding physical proof. It is about an internal exploration, a gentle exercise in imagination and quiet wonder. We are not looking for a lost city to put on a map. We are seeking a lost feeling, a lost connection, to a past that exists in a state of perpetual quiet. The story of Atlantis, as told by Plato, was a morality tale. It was about a people who lost their way, who succumbed to their own arrogance. Our hypothesis is a quiet revision of that tale. It is a story of a people who were not destroyed, but who were put to sleep. Their pride and their power were not obliterated, but were simply laid to rest, waiting for a new kind of awakening. The deep sea in its stillness and its solitude is the perfect resting place for a city that was once so loud and proud. The silence of the abyss is a gentle lullaby, a soft, constant hum that keeps the city sleeping, waiting. We are not here to wake it, but simply to sit with it. To listen to the silent hum, and to contemplate the beautiful, quiet possibility that some things are not lost, but simply resting. As we hover in the profound darkness, a quiet vessel now in close proximity to the glowing geode, we can begin to appreciate the geometry of this transformed city. Plato, in his descriptions, was meticulous about the physical layout of Atlantis. He spoke of concentric rings of land and water, a network of canals, and a massive, circular central city. The city was a masterpiece of urban planning, a perfect, symmetrical design. The hypothesis suggests that this geometric perfection was not lost in the cataclysm, but was simply translated into a new form, a new state of being. The concentric rings of land and water are now visible as subtle, swirling patterns within the crystalline form. They are not physical rings of stone and water, but rather bands of differing luminescence and density. The canal network, which once allowed ships to navigate the city, is now a series of glowing veins, a circulatory system of quiet, contained light that pulses with the city's slow, internal breath. These are not man-made structures anymore, but a memory, a blueprint of a city etched into the very fabric of a great crystal. The central citadel, the Palace of Poseidon, is a brilliant, glowing core, the heart of the sleeping city. Its light is the most intense, a soft, warm glow that radiates outward, giving life to the surrounding patterns. The hypothesis suggests that the famous orichalcum, the metal that Plato claimed was more valuable than gold, was not just a material, but a source of this internal energy. It was a kind of a superconductive metal that, under the immense pressure of the deep, began to hum with a low, resonant energy. This hum is the sound we hear now, a soft, steady vibration that resonates with the very being of our vessel. It is the sound of the city breathing, a quiet, constant song that has lasted for millennia. This hum is a communication, a silent language that speaks not of words but of feelings, of a profound and quiet wisdom that can only be accessed in a state of deep stillness. This is the beauty of the deep-sea sleep hypothesis. It takes the most fantastical elements of the Atlantis myth and gives them a quiet, scientific explanation. The impossible geography of a continent-sized island sinking into the ocean is transformed into the plausible reality of a single, massive The mythical metal of orichalcum becomes a source of silent, internal energy. The loud, boisterous city of Plato's cautionary tale becomes a quiet, contemplative monument to a forgotten age. The journey to this silent monument is not a race. It is a meditation. With every slow, gentle drift of our vessel, we are learning a new way of seeing, a new way of being. We are learning to appreciate the beauty of stillness, the power of silence, and the profound wisdom that can be found in the absence of noise. The city, in its sleep, has become a teacher, a silent guide that shows us a path to a different kind of life, a life that is less about what we do and what we have, and more about who we are. The people of Atlantis, in their collective dream, are experiencing a different kind of reality. Their consciousness in a state of suspended animation, is free from the noise and distraction of the material world. They are living a life of pure thought, of pure being. They are in a state of perfect harmony, a state that they could not achieve in their waking lives. The city, in its sleep, has become a utopia, not of grand palaces and advanced technology, but of quiet, internal peace. The punishment of the gods was not a punishment at all, but a gift, the gift of a profound and endless sleep, a gift of a quiet, eternal existency. As we hover here, in the quiet, luminescent glow of the sleeping city, we can feel a sense of profound peace. It is a peace that comes not from the absence of conflict, but from the presence of a deep and ancient stillness. It is a peace that speaks of a world that is not lost, but simply resting. The deep sea, in its stillness and its solitude, is the perfect resting place for a city that was once so loud and proud. The silence of the abyss is a gentle lullaby, a soft, constant hum that keeps the city sleeping, waiting. We are not here to wake it, but simply to sit with it, to listen to the silent hum, and to contemplate the beautiful, quiet possibility that some things are not lost, but simply resting. This journey is not about finding physical proof. It is about an internal exploration, a gentle exercise in imagination and quiet wonder. We are not looking for a lost city to put on a map. We are seeking a lost feeling, a lost connection to a past that exists in a state of perpetual quiet. The story of Atlantis, as told by Plato, was a morality tale. It was about a people who lost their way, who succumbed to their own arrogance. Our hypothesis is a quiet revision of that tale. It is a story of a people who were not destroyed, but who were put to sleep. Their pride and their power were not obliterated, but were simply laid to rest, waiting for a new kind of awakening. The deep sea in its stillness and its solitude is the perfect resting place for a city that was once so loud and proud. The silence of the abyss is a gentle lullaby, a soft, constant hum that keeps the city sleeping, waiting. We are not here to wake it, but simply to sit with it, to listen to the silent hum, and to contemplate the beautiful, quiet possibility that some things are not lost, but simply resting. Our quiet vessel is now close enough to the glowing geode that we can feel the subtle vibrations of its inner hum. We are no longer just observing the sleeping city. We are in communion with it. The hypothesis suggests that the collective dream of the Atlantean people is not a silent one. It is a language, a silent, unspoken form of communication that speaks directly to our consciousness, bypassing the need for words. It is the language of a million Mayans dreaming a single dream, a language that speaks of stillness, of peace, and of a profound, quiet wisdom. The language of dreams is not a linear one. It does not follow the rules of grammar or syntax. It is a language of images, of feelings, and of symbols. We can feel a sense of profound sadness and regret, a quiet acknowledgement of the hubris that led to their fall. We can feel a sense of peace and acceptance, a deep understanding that their new, quiet state is a form of grace, a quiet penance for their past transgressions. We can feel a sense of a shared journey, a sense of a collective consciousness that has been a silent companion for millennia. This is the unspoken legacy of Atlantis. It is a wisdom that can only be accessed when we are willing to put aside our loud, verbal minds and listen with a different kind of sense. This silent language also speaks of the nature of time. For the sleeping city, time has no meaning. 1,000 years is no more than a single day. The past, present, and future are all contained within a single, eternal moment. This is a profound and humbling concept. We, in our waking lives, are slaves to time, to the constant ticking of the clock, to the relentless march of minutes and hours. But the sleeping city exists outside of this linear reality. It is a place of eternal stillness, a place where the past is not a memory, but a living, breathing presence. The loud, proud city of Plato's myth has not been lost to time. It has transcended it. This silent, dream-based wisdom is a powerful antidote to the noise and distraction of our modern world. We are constantly in a state of doing, of achieving, of acquiring. We are in a constant state of motion, and in that motion, we lose our connection to a deeper, more profound sense of being. The sleeping city, in its stillness, is a quiet reminder that true wisdom is not found in action, but in contemplation. It is not found in noise, but in silence. It is not found in a frantic search for external validation, but in a quiet, internal sense of peace. The hypothesis suggests that our journey to this sleeping city is not a one-way street. As we are in communion with it, we are also leaving a mark on it, a quiet imprint of our own consciousness. We are not just observing the dream. We are becoming a part of it. We are not just receiving the wisdom. We are contributing to it. Our presence, our quiet, reverent contemplation is a form of awakening. Not an awakening that will bring the city back to the surface world, but an awakening of its own internal consciousness. Our quiet journey is a form of a gentle slow-motion touch, a quiet caress that reminds the sleeping city that it is not forgotten. This is the silent language of dreams. It is a language that speaks of connection, of shared experience, of a profound and quiet wisdom that is waiting to be found, not in a loud, boisterous discovery, but in a gentle, silent communion. The deep sea, in its stillness and its solitude, is the perfect resting place for a city that was once so loud and proud. The silence of the abyss is a gentle lullaby, a soft, constant hum that keeps the city sleeping, waiting. We are not here to wake it, but simply to sit with it, to listen to the silent hum, and to contemplate the beautiful, quiet possibility that some things are not lost, but simply resting. This journey is not about finding physical proof. It is about an internal exploration, a gentle exercise in imagination and quiet wonder. We are not looking for a lost city to put on a map. We are seeking a lost feeling, a lost connection to a past that exists in a state of perpetual quiet. The story of Atlantis, as told by Plato, was a morality tale. It was about a people who lost their way, who succumbed to their own arrogance. Our hypothesis is a quiet revision of that tale. It is a story of a people who were not destroyed, but who were put to sleep. Their pride and their power were not obliterated, but were simply laid to rest, waiting for a new kind of awakening. The deep sea in its stillness and its solitude is the perfect resting place for a city that was once so loud and proud. The silence of the abyss is a gentle lullaby, a soft, constant hum that keeps the city sleeping, waiting. We are not here to wake it, but simply to sit with it. To listen to the silent hum, and to contemplate the beautiful, quiet possibility that some things are not lost, but simply resting. The story of Atlantis, as we have explored it tonight, is not a story of a great city that was lost to the world. It is a story of a great city that was given a new, quiet purpose. Its legacy is not in its loud, boisterous past, but in its silent, enduring present. The unspoken legacy of Atlantis is the quiet wisdom it holds, a wisdom that can only be accessed when we are willing to sit with it in the dark and to listen to its silent hum. Plato's account was a cautionary tale, a warning against a civilization that became too proud, too warlike, too materialistic. The deep-sea sleep hypothesis takes this tale and gives it a gentle, comforting ending. The city was not destroyed, it was protected. The people were not punished with death, but with a profound and endless sleep, a quiet act of preservation. The greatest monument they ever built is not a palace or a temple, but their own quiet, transformed self. The loud, boastful city of their hubris has become a single, silent, sleeping rock. The greatest monument they ever built is not a palace or a temple, but their own quiet, transformed self. The unspoken legacy of Atlantis is a quiet lesson in humility. The city, in its sleep, has become a place of profound peace, a place that has no need for the loud, frantic noise of the surface world. It is a reminder that our own lives, in their constant motion, are often missing the most important part of the journey. The journey is not about finding an external destination, but about finding a sense of internal peace. The sleeping city, in its profound stillness, is a silent guide that shows us the way to a different kind of life. A life that is less about what we do and what we have, and more about who we are. The journey to this silent monument is not a race. It is a meditation. With every slow, gentle drift of our vessel. We are learning a new way of seeing, a new way of being. We are learning to appreciate the beauty of stillness, the power of silence, and the profound wisdom that can be found in the absence of noise. The city, in its sleep, has become a teacher, a silent guide that shows us a path to a different kind of life, a life that is less about what we do and what we have, and more about who we are. The people of Atlantis, in their collective dream, are experiencing a different kind of reality. Their consciousness, in a state of suspended animation, is free from the noise and distraction of the material world. They are living a life of pure thought, of pure being. They are in a state of perfect harmony, a state that they could not achieve in their waking lives. The city, in its sleep, has become a utopia, not of grand palaces and advanced technology, but of quiet, internal peace. The punishment of the gods was not a punishment at all, but a gift. The gift of a profound and endless sleep, a gift of a quiet, eternal existency. As we hover here, in the quiet, luminescent glow of the sleeping city, we can feel a sense of profound peace. It is a peace that comes not from the absence of conflict, but from the presence of a deep and ancient stillness. It is a peace that speaks of a world that is not lost, but simply resting. The deep sea, in its stillness and its solitude, is the perfect resting place for a city that was once so loud and proud. The silence of the abyss is a gentle lullaby, a soft, constant hum that keeps the city sleeping, waiting. We are not here to wake it, but simply to sit with it, to listen to the silent hum, and to contemplate the beautiful, quiet possibility that some things are not lost, but simply resting. This journey is not about finding physical proof. It is about an internal exploration, a gentle exercise in imagination and quiet wonder. We are not looking for a lost city to put on a map. We are seeking a lost feeling, a lost connection, to a past that exists in a state of perpetual quiet. The story of Atlantis, as told by Plato, was a morality tale. It was about a people who lost their way, who succumbed to their own arrogance. Our hypothesis is a quiet revision of that tale. It is a story of a people who were not destroyed, but who were put to sleep. Their pride and their power were not obliterated, but were simply laid to rest, waiting for a new kind of awakening. The deep sea in its stillness and its solitude is the perfect resting place for a city that was once so loud and proud. The silence of the abyss is a gentle lullaby, a soft, constant hum that keeps the city sleeping, waiting. We are not here to wake it, but simply to sit with it. To listen to the silent hum, and to contemplate the beautiful, quiet possibility that some things are not lost, but simply resting. As our quiet vessel prepares to ascend, we take one final look at the glowing geode, the sleeping city of Atlantis. The light is a soft, gentle pulse in the profound darkness, a quiet beat in the heart of the abyss. We came here not to find a ruin, but to find a story, a new way of understanding an old legend. We came to listen to a silence that has been a silent companion for millennia. We came to contemplate the beautiful, quiet possibility that some things are not lost, but simply resting. The final embrace of the ocean is not a forceful one. It is a dintley, soft pressure, a quiet caress that holds the city in its place, a constant reminder of its new state of being. The silence of the deep is not an absence of sound, but a presence, a living entity that envelops the city and all that it contains. It is a silence that speaks of profound peace, a silence that reminds us that true wisdom is not found in noise, but in stillness. The journey to this sleeping city is a personal one. It is a journey that can be taken only with a quiet mind, a gentle heart, and a willingness to see the world not as it is, but as it could be. It is a journey that teaches us to listen not with our ears, but with our souls. It is a journey that teaches us to see not with our eyes, but with our imagination. The city of Atlantis, in its quiet slumber, is a testament to the power of a single, beautiful idea, an idea that has endured for millennia, an idea that reminds us that the most profound secrets are not those that are shouted from the rooftops, but those that are whispered in the quiet and that are found in the soft, deep silence of a deep-sea dream. As we ascend, leaving the profound stillness behind, we carry a part of the city with us. We carry its silence. We carry its peace. We carry its wisdom. The hum of the orichalcum, the soft glow of the geode, the silent language of a million dreams. All of these will linger in our minds, a quiet echo in the noise of our waking lives. We will remember the lesson of Atlantis. We will remember that the most enduring legacy is not the noise we create, but the quiet, beautiful stories that we leave behind. The unseen city is not just a place of quiet discovery. It is a place of quiet, enduring peace. The story of Atlantis, in its quiet, deep-sea sleep, is a beautiful reminder. It reminds us that sometimes the end is not an end, but a beginning. It reminds us that even in the deepest darkness, there is a quiet, internal light. It is a story of a people who were not destroyed, but who were put to sleep. Their pride and their power were not obliterated, but were simply laid to rest, waiting for a new kind of awakening. The deep sea, in its stillness and its solitude, is the perfect resting place for a city that was once so loud and proud. The silence of the abyss is a gentle lullaby, a soft, constant hum that keeps the city sleeping, waiting. We are not here to wake it, but simply to sit with it, to listen to the silent hum, and to contemplate the beautiful, quiet possibility that some things are not lost, but simply resting. Imagine a city carved from the earth itself, not built with bricks and mortar, but sculpted from the very heart of the desert mountains, a place of whispers and shadows, where history is not just written, but etched into the living rock. This is the story of Petra, the unseen city. For centuries, it lay hidden from the outside world, a ghost of a once thriving metropolis, its secrets guarded by towering sandstone cliffs and the endless, shifting sands of time. Our journey begins not with a grand discovery, but with a quiet disappearance. Around the 7th century AD, a city that had dominated trade routes and held the power of an empire seemed to vanish. Its people, the Nabateans, a resourceful and ingenious civilization, faded from the annals of history, leaving behind a legacy of architectural wonders. The reasons for their departure remain a subject of debate among historians. Was it a change in trade routes that rendered their strategic location obsolete? Was it a series of devastating earthquakes that made the city uninhabitable? Or did they simply migrate, taking their knowledge and culture with them, leaving their magnificent capital to the slow, patient reclamation of the desert? The desert, a silent and persistent artist, began its work. Sand filled the once bustling streets, wind eroded the intricate facades, and time blurred the sharp lines of human ingenuity. The city became a myth, a legend whispered among local Bedouin tribes, who knew its location but chose to honor its solitude, protecting it from the prying eyes of the outside world. To them, it was more than just a ruin. It was a sacred place, a repository of stories passed down through generations. Te, Kayet, Italbatorb, a name that echoed its ancient past. For the Western world, Petra was a blank space on a map. Explorers and scholars sought the legendary Lost City, but their searches were fruitless. The desert's harsh climate and the region's political instability acted as natural deterrents. The stories of its grandeur were dismissed as folktales, exaggerated accounts from a bygone era. No one believed a city of such scale and complexity could simply disappear. It was a paradox, a monument to human achievement, hidden in plain sight, yet utterly invisible to those who sought it with conventional methods. This period of silence, this long slumber, is what makes Petra's story so unique. Unlike other ancient sites that were continuously inhabited or slowly declined in plain view, Petra was effectively put on pause. Its preservation is owed to its isolation. The same mountains that provided its people with shelter and security became its tomb, a natural sarcophagus that kept it intact for over a millennium. The city became a time capsule, a snapshot of Nabatean civilization frozen in time, waiting for its moment to be rediscovered. The rediscovery, when it finally came, was not a triumphant procession, but a quiet, almost accidental encounter. It was the product of one man's relentless curiosity and his willingness to step off the beaten path. This was a man who understood that true discovery often lies not in what is sought, but in what is found by chance, by listening to the quiet whispers of the land. His name was Johann Ludwig Bohr, an explorer with a deep respect for the cultures he encountered. He would approach his mission not with a sense of conquest, but with a genuine desire to learn. Burckhardt, a Swiss traveler, disguised as a Muslim scholar named Sheikh Ibrahim Ibn Abd, was on a journey to explore the source of the Niger River in Africa. His travels took him through the Levant, and it was here that he heard the whispers of a lost city. He was told of a deep canyon, a sick, that led to a valley filled with magnificent tombs and temples. The local guides, however, were reluctant to take him there, fearing the sacredness of the site would be disturbed. This resistance only fueled Burckhardt's determination. He fabricated a story, claiming he wished to sacrifice a goat at the tomb of Aaron, whose mountain was located nearby. It was a clever ruse, one that respected local beliefs while allowing him to pursue his own purpose. His journey to the site was not a walk in the park. It was a testament to his resolve. He had to navigate treacherous terrain and deal with the constant suspicion of his guides. The path was difficult, a narrow trail winding through the desert, but with every step, he felt closer to something monumental. He knew he was on the verge of a discovery that would rewrite history, and as he entered the narrow opening of the Sick, he could not have known the full extent of the wonder that awaited him. The Sick, a winding gorge that serves as the main entrance to Petra, is a natural wonder in itself. Its towering walls, reaching up to 200 meters in some places, create a sense of anticipation and awe. The path twists and turns, obscuring the view of what lies ahead. As Burckhardt walked, the walls seemed to close in on him, the light above becoming a thin sliver of sky. It was a journey into the heart of the earth, a descent into a forgotten world. The silence was profound, broken only by the soft echoes of his footsteps. The air, cooled by the shade of the high walls, carried the scent of ancient dust and desert herbs. He was walking into a story that had been dormant for centuries, and he was about to become its first new chapter. As he reached the end of the Sick, a sliver of light appeared. The canyon opened up, and the view that greeted him was beyond anything he could have imagined. It was not a grand temple in the distance, but a building that seemed to emerge from the rock itself, its magnificent facade glowing in the morning sun. The sight of the treasury, Okazna, was a moment of profound revelation. It was a building of such intricate detail and immense scale that it seemed impossible, a mirage conjured by the desert heat. But it was real, and with that single, breathtaking view, the lost city of Petra was found again. The silence was broken, and a new era of exploration and understanding was about to begin. Burckhardt's quiet discovery would soon become a global sensation, but for him, in that moment, it was a private revelation, a testament to the power of a single, patient inquiry. The world would soon know Petra, but he was the first to see it in 1,000 years, a solitary witness to its resurrected beauty. The people who sculpted this city were known as They were not a powerful conquering empire, but a resourceful and adaptable people. Their story is a testament to the power of ingenuity and trade over brute force. They were originally nomadic, dwelling in the Arabian deserts, but they slowly transitioned from a tribal confederation to a settled civilization. Their genius lay in their ability to harness the very thing that made the desert so formidable: its lack of water. The Nabateans became masters of water management. In a land where rainfall was scarce and unpredictable, they built an intricate system of dams, cisterns, and channels that would capture every drop of water from flash floods, directing it into reservoirs carved from the rock. This allowed them not only to survive, but to thrive. Their water storage techniques were so advanced that they could support a large population and cultivate crops in an otherwise arid environment. The city of Petra was not just a marvel of architecture, but a triumph of civil engineering, a sustainable metropolis built on the foundation of a life-giving resource. Their strategic location at the crossroads of major trade routes was their key to prosperity. They controlled the flow of frankincense and myrrh from Arabia, spices from the east, and silks and perfumes from India. Every caravan that passed through their territory had to pay a toll, and the Nabateans became immensely wealthy. This wealth was not flaunted in elaborate palaces, but invested in their city, in the creation of a monumental and enduring legacy. They were practical people, and their architecture reflects this. While the facades are ornate and inspired by a mix of Greek, Roman, and Egyptian styles. The interiors are often simple and functional, designed for burial and worship, not for lavish living. The true artistry of the Nabateans is in their understanding of the rock itself. They did not just carve into the sandstone. They worked with it. They studied its veins, its weaknesses, and its strengths. The color of the rock, a swirling blend of reds, pinks, and yellows, was not just a backdrop, but an integral part of their artistic expression. Each tomb and temple is a unique piece, the result of a direct conversation between the artist and the stone. The facades were not built, they were revealed. They were an excavation in reverse, a careful removal of stone to uncover a form that was always latent within. The Nabatean sculptors were like archaeologists of the aesthetic, unearthing beauty from the heart of the earth. The most famous of these structures is the treasury altar. Its name is a misnomer, given by the local Bedouin, who believed an ancient pharaoh had hidden his treasure in the urn at the top. But its true purpose was likely a tomb for a Nabatean king, perhaps King Aretos IV, who ruled during the height of Petra's prosperity. The facade is a breathtaking fusion of Hellenistic and Nabatean styles, with ornate columns, sculptures of mythological figures, and a soaring facade that seems to defy gravity. The architectural details, from the Corinthian columns to the winged figures, speak of a civilization that was not isolated but deeply connected to the wider world. They were not simply copying foreign styles. They were adapting and incorporating them into their own unique artistic vocabulary. But the treasury is just the beginning. The city is a vast necropolis, a city of the dead that is far more grand than the city of the living. The street of facades is a row of elaborate tombs carved into the cliffs, each one a testament to the wealth and status of the family buried within. As you walk further into the city, you encounter the royal tombs, a cluster of 4 magnificent facades that include the urn tomb and the silk tomb, named for the swirling, colorful patterns of the sandstone. These tombs are not just burial places. They are monuments to a people's profound belief in the afterlife, a final, beautiful resting place that mirrored the beauty of their world. The scale of the city is what is truly astonishing. It is not just a grand monument, but the thousands of smaller tombs, houses, and water channels that are carved into the rocks throughout the valley. The Nabateans were master urban planners. They created a city that was in harmony with its natural surroundings, a place where the line between man-made and natural was blurred. The houses, carved into the cliffs, provided natural insulation against the desert's extreme temperatures. The intricate network of stairs and paths connected to different levels of the city, making it a living, breathing labyrinth. The Nabateans were also a deeply spiritual people. Their religion was a syncretic blend of ancient Arabian deities and gods from the civilizations they traded with. Their chief god was Dushara, and they worshipped him in high places, on mountain peaks, and at sacred altars carved from the rock. Their beliefs were intertwined with their lives and their environment. The very mountains that sheltered them were seen as a manifestation of the divine, and their acts of carving and sculpting were acts of devotion. The city of Petra was not just a commercial hub or a political center. It was a sacred landscape, a place where the human and the divine met. The decline of the Nabatean civilization and the eventual abandonment of Petra remains a source of fascination. A series of earthquakes in the 4th and 6th centuries severely damaged the city's infrastructure, including its delicate water systems. At the same time, the rise of the Roman Empire and the shift in trade routes to the sea diminished Petra's economic importance. The Nabateans, ever practical, likely saw the writing on the wall. They may have simply moved on, abandoning their magnificent capital for new opportunities. Their departure was not a defeat, but a strategic retreat. They left behind a city that would become a testament to their quiet power, a ghost of their glory. The legacy of the Nabateans is not in a grand empire that collapsed, but in a city that endured. They were a people who built to last, not just for their own time, but for eternity. Their silent monuments stand as a testament to their resourcefulness, their artistry, and their deep connection to the land. As we walk through the quiet streets of Petra, we are walking among the ghosts of a people who were not just great builders, but great dreamers. They dreamt of a city that would rise from the rock, and they made that dream a reality, leaving behind a legacy that continues to inspire awe and wonder in all who are privileged to see it. Their story is a reminder that the most enduring monuments are not built with brute force, but with quiet skill, a deep understanding of the world, and an enduring respect for the land that gave them life. Petra today is a place of profound silence, a quiet ghost of the bustling metropolis it once was. The echoes of its past are not found in the clamor of a marketplace, but in the hush of the canyons and the stillness of its monumental tombs. The absence of sound is what gives the city its power. It forces you to listen not with your ears, but with your imagination, to conjure the sounds of its past. Imagine the city in its prime. The air would be filled with the chatter of merchants, the clatter of camels' hooves, and the rhythmic sound of stone being carved. The scent of exotic spices, frankincense, and myrrh would linger in the air. The streets would be a vibrant tapestry of people from all corners of the ancient world. Roman traders, Egyptian scholars, and Indian merchants, all drawn to this hub of commerce. The Nabateans, with their distinctive flowing robes and headdresses, would move with a quiet confidence, the masters of this magnificent domain. Their city was not just a collection of buildings. It was a living, breathing ecosystem of trade, culture, and innovation. Today, the most prominent sound is the whisper of the wind as it weaves its way through the narrow sick. It's a sound that has remained unchanged for thousands of years, a constant lullaby for the sleeping city. As you walk through the gorge, the wind seems to carry the secrets of the past, the murmurs of a forgotten world. The red-orange cliffs, so still and ancient, seem to hold a profound stillness, a silent witness to all that has passed. The feeling is one of profound tranquility, a deep sense of peace that comes from being in a place where human noise has given way to the symphony of nature. The human presence today is different. The Bedouin, descendants of the original tribes who guarded Petra's secrets, now act as guides and keepers of the city. They move through the canyons with a quiet grace. Their knowledge of the land is deep as the canyons themselves. They know the best places to find shade, the hidden trails, and the stories behind every rock formation. Their presence is a bridge between the ancient past and the present, a living link to the people who first saw and honored this place. Their respect for the land and its history is palpable. They don't see the city as just a tourist site, but as their home, their heritage. The animals that live here also add to the quiet atmosphere. Goats, with their nimble feet, climb the steep cliffs, their bells a gentle, rhythmic sound that echoes through the valley. A lone donkey might carry a visitor up the steep path to the monastery, its soft footsteps, a counterpoint to the rustling of the wind. These are not just animals. They are part of the landscape, part of the living, breathing ecosystem of Petra. They are a reminder that while the people may have left, life continues to find a way to adapt and thrive in this beautiful, desolate place. Walking through the city is like walking through a dream. The sheer scale of the monuments is overwhelming, yet there is a sense of intimacy, a feeling that you are a solitary explorer in a vast, silent world. The light changes constantly, transforming the color of the sandstone from a soft pink at dawn to a fiery red at sunset. The play of light and shadow on the carved facades adds to the sense of mystery. A detail that was hidden in the shade a moment ago is suddenly revealed in a burst of light. It's a continuous unveiling, a slow, patient discovery that unfolds with every step. The quiet of Petra allows for a different kind of exploration, one that is internal as well as external. You are not just seeing the sights. You are feeling them. The texture of the ancient rock under your hand, the cool air in the shaded tombs, the vastness of the sky above the canyon. It is a sensory experience that goes beyond the visual. It is a place that invites reflection, a place to contemplate the transience of human life and the endurance of nature. The city's profound silence is not a sign of death, but a testament to its timelessness, a quiet monument to a people who, in their departure, gave the world a gift of enduring beauty. The silence also allows for a deeper appreciation of the architectural details. Without the distraction of noise, you can truly see the intricate carvings, the delicate lines, the subtle variations in the stone. You can notice the places where the Nabatean sculptors made a mistake, a slight wobble in a line, a testament to the human hands that created these masterpieces. It is in these small imperfections that you feel a connection to the people who lived and worked here to the quiet artisans who toiled for years to create something so magnificent. They were not just builders, they were artists, and their medium was the earth itself. The city of Petra is a reminder that the most profound stories are often the quietest ones. It is not a story of conquest or a grand war, but a story of ingenuity, trade, and a deep respect for the land. It is the story of a people who, in their departure, left behind a legacy that is more powerful in its silence than it ever could have been in its noise. It is a city that teaches us to listen, not just to what is said, but to what is left unsaid, to the whispers of the wind, the echoes of the past, and the profound silence of a beautiful, sleeping world. As we leave the canyons and return to the noise of modern life, the silence of Petra stays with us, a gentle echo in our minds, a reminder of a place where the past is not just a memory, but a living presence, a ghost that walks in the sun. Beyond the central city of Petra lies another marvel, one that demands a quiet and patient journey. This is the path to the monastery Adir, a climb of over 800 steps carved into the mountainside. The journey itself is an integral part of the experience, a pilgrimage that builds a sense of anticipation and earns the breathtaking view that awaits at the summit. The path begins as a gentle ascent, but it quickly becomes a series of winding steps that snake their way up the side of the mountain. It's a quiet, solitary climb. The crowds thin out, and the only sounds are the rhythmic scuff of your shoes on the ancient stone and the sound of your own breathing. The air grows thinner, and the landscape below begins to open up, offering panoramic views of the Petra Valley. As you ascend, the perspective changes. The magnificent tombs below begin to look like miniatures, and you gain a new appreciation for the vast scale of the Nabatean city. Along the way, there are smaller, less grand, but no less significant carvings. Small prayer niches, small tombs, and water channels are carved into the rock, a testament to the fact that every part of this landscape was used and revered by the Nabateans. These smaller details offer a sense of intimacy, a reminder that the city was not just a collection of monumental tombs, but a living, working place with its own quiet corners and hidden secrets. The path is not just a means to an end. It is a journey through the heart of the city's spiritual life. The climb is a physical challenge, but it is also a mental one. It requires patience and a steady pace. It is not a race, but a meditation. With every step, you are leaving the noise and distractions of the world behind, moving closer to a place of profound solitude and contemplation. The sun can be intense, but the breeze that circulates around the high peaks offers a welcome coolness. The Bedouin, with their donkeys, offer to help, their quiet voices and gentle demeanor a constant presence along the path. They know this trail better than anyone, and their knowledge of the mountain is a living part of the experience. After a long and steady climb, you arrive, and then you see it. The monastery. It is a structure of immense scale, larger than the treasury, and it stands alone, a solitary sentinel in the vast emptiness of the high plateau. The name is also a misnomer, likely given by early Christians who used it as a church. Its true purpose was likely a Nabatean temple, a place of worship dedicated to their gods. The facade is less ornate than the treasury, but its sheer size and its isolation give it a powerful, almost overwhelming presence. The monastery's facade is not just beautiful, it's a testament to the Nabateans' engineering prowess. Carving a building of such immense scale on a vertical cliff face must have been an undertaking of immense difficulty. The sheer precision required to sculpt the columns, the portico, and the massive urn at the top is a marvel of human ingenuity. It is a building that feels both immense and somehow weightless, a structure that seems to float against the backdrop of the sky. The smooth, weathered sandstone gives it a soft, almost ethereal quality, as if it were a natural extension of the mountain itself. From the plateau in front of the monastery, the views are breathtaking. You can see 4 miles across the rugged landscape of Jordan, all the way to the distant mountains of Israel and Palestine. The silence here is even more profound than in the valley below. There's only the sound of the wind, a vast and endless hum that seems to carry the echoes of the world. It is a place of profound solitude, a place to sit and simply be, to let the weight of the world fall away, and to contemplate the vastness of time and space. The monastery is a quiet contrast, to the bustling city below. It is a place of finality, of completion. It feels like the end of the journey, the culmination of all the climbing and walking. It is a place that feels sacred, not just because of its history, but because of the effort it takes to reach it. The act of pilgrimage, of putting one foot in front of the other, is what gives the destination its meaning. The monastery is a reward, a quiet culmination of a journey that is both physical and spiritual. As the sun begins to set, the light hits the facade of the monastery, and the sandstone begins to glow with a deep, warm color. It is a moment of profound beauty, a reminder that even in the most desolate places, there's a quiet, enduring beauty. The monastery is not just a building. It is a testament to the quiet power of a civilization that built with patience, with skill, and with a deep reverence for the land. It is a place that reminds us that the most profound experiences are often the ones that require the most effort, the ones that are earned through quiet perseverance. As we descend the steps, we carry the image of the monastery with us, a quiet memory of a place of immense beauty and profound solitude, a testament to a journey that was both physical and spiritual. Beyond the grandeur of the tombs and temples, the true heart of Petra lies in its sacred spaces, the high places, and ritual sites where the Nabateans conducted their spiritual lives. These are not grand buildings, but places that were carefully chosen for their natural power and their connection to the heavens. To understand Petra, you must understand the deep spiritual connection the Nabateans had to their environment. One of the most important of these sites is the high place of sacrifice, located on a mountain peak high above the main city. It is reached by another quiet, steady climb, a path that feels less like a trail and more like a sacred ascent. The path is lined with small altars, obelisks, and water channels, all carved directly into the rock. It is a deliberate and meaningful journey, a progression of spiritual preparation. As you climb, you are not just walking. You are participating in a timeless ritual, a pilgrimage to a place where the human and the divine were believed to meet. At the summit, the silence is even more profound. The wind is a constant presence, a gentle hum that seems to carry the prayers of the past. The view is panoramic, stretching 4 miles in every direction. At the center of the site is a large, flat altar carved from the rock, a place where animals were once sacrificed to the gods. Surrounding it are other carved features: a large triclinium, a dining hall for ritual feasts, and small basins for collecting rainwater. The entire site is a testament to the Nabateans' belief that their rituals should not be confined to a temple, but should be a direct communion with the natural world. The high place of sacrifice is a powerful place, a place that feels charged with a quiet energy. You can almost feel the presence of the ancient Nabateans, who once stood here, their faces turned toward the sun, their prayers carried on the wind. The silence allows you to feel this connection, to hear the echoes of a belief system that was deeply intertwined with the land. The mountains were not just a backdrop. They were a part of their faith, a physical manifestation of the sacred. The Nabateans' religion was a fascinating blend of local Arabian deities and gods from the cultures they interacted with. Their chief god was Dushara, often represented by a block of stone, a reminder of their deep connection to the rock. They also revered the goddess Ulat, often associated with fertility and creation. Their beliefs were not rigid or dogmatic. They were adaptable and inclusive, a reflection of their open and cosmopolitan nature as a trading people. Their spirituality was a reflection of their practicality. It was a religion that was lived and breathed, not just in temples, but in the quiet, sacred spaces of the canyons and mountains. Beyond the high place of sacrifice, there are countless other examples of Nabatean ritual sites. The jinn blocks, large square-carved monuments, were likely a part of their spiritual landscape, representations of their gods, or a form of funerary monument. The obelisk tomb, a massive monument with 4 obelisks, is a testament to their reverence for the dead and their belief in a transition to the afterlife. The entire city, in a sense, is a sacred space. The tombs are not just burials. They are monuments to a profound belief in the afterlife. The houses are not just dwellings. They are an integral part of a city that was built in harmony with the divine. The rituals of the Nabateans were not just about sacrifice and prayer. They were about a deep connection to their environment. The very act of carving the city from the rock was a form of ritual, a daily act of communion with the sacred. They were shaping their world, not just for survival, but for spiritual meaning. The intricate details on the facades, the subtle variations in the carvings, all speak of a people who saw their work as a form of devotion. Every chisel mark was a prayer, every polished surface a gesture of reverence. The silence that now envelops these sites allows for a deeper appreciation of this spiritual dimension. Without the distraction of noise, you can feel the quiet power of these places, the ancient energy that still lingers in the air, the sun-baked rocks, the cool shadows in the tombs, the vastness of the sky above, all combined to create a sense of profound reverence. It is a place that feels both ancient and alive, a place where the past is not a memory, but a living presence. The quiet rituals of the Nabothians are a powerful reminder that spirituality can be found not just in grand cathedrals or temples, but in the simple act of connecting with the natural world. They saw the divine in the rocks, in the water, and in the endless sky. Their legacy is not just in their beautiful carvings, but in the quiet, enduring power of a people who lived in harmony with their environment and who saw their work as a form of sacred art. As we stand on the high place of sacrifice, we are not just looking at a ruin. We are standing in a place of quiet. Enduring faith, a testament to the rituals of rock that defined a people and shaped a city for eternity. The story of Petra is not a static one. It is a story of continuous change, a canvas on which the hands of time have painted their quiet mark. The wind and sand that once hid the city are now the patient artists that continue to sculpt its form. Every day, the desert whispers its slow changes, eroding a line here, softening a corner there, giving the city a timeless, ever-evolving beauty. The colors of the sandstone are a testament to this process. The rock is not a single color, but a swirling blend of hues, from deep reds and maroons to soft pinks and creams. These colors are not uniform. They change with the light and the time of day. At dawn, the city glows with a soft, ethereal light. At noon, the colors are bright and vibrant. And at sunset, the rocks turn a fiery orange and crimson, as if the entire city is on fire. This constant play of light and color is a reminder that the city is a living thing, not a dead ruin. It breathes and changes with the rhythm of the sun and the moon. The wind is the primary sculptor. It carries grains of sand, which act like a soft sandpaper, slowly and patiently wearing away at the facades. Over the centuries, the sharp lines of the carvings have been softened, the intricate details blurred. This is not a destructive process, but a creative one. It gives the buildings a sense of age and wisdom, a gentle patina that tells a story of 1,000 years of wind and sand. The carvings are not as sharp as they once were, but they are imbued with a new kind of beauty, a beauty that comes from their long, slow conversation with the elements. The desert has also reclaimed the city in its own quiet way. Plants and small shrubs have found a way to grow in the crevices of the rock, their green leaves a vibrant contrast to the red stone. A lone tree might grow from a small crack in the cliff, its roots finding a way to survive in the most unlikely of places. These small signs of life are a reminder that nature is always at work, always finding a way to persevere and to transform. The desert is not empty. It is a place of quiet, enduring life. The human story of Petra also continues to evolve. Since its rediscovery, the city has been a subject of continuous study and exploration. Archaeologists from around the world have come here to uncover its secrets, to piece together the story of the Nabat. Their work is a quiet and patient process, a slow and methodical peeling back of the layers of time. They have uncovered more of the city's ancient structures, its water systems, and its ritual sites. Every new discovery adds another piece to the puzzle, another chapter to the story of the unseen city. The local Bedouin people also continue to be an integral part of the city's story. They have lived here for generations, and their knowledge of the land is a vital part of its preservation. They are the keepers of its quiet secrets, the guardians of its history. They have a deep respect for the city, and they understand that it is not just a place for visitors, but a living part of their heritage. Their quiet presence, their willingness to share their stories and their knowledge, is a gift to all who come here. The city of Petra, in its silence and its solitude, is a powerful reminder of the cyclical nature of time. It is a story of rise, of decline, of a long period of quiet, and of a quiet rediscovery. It is a story that is not over but continues to be written with every gust of wind, every shift of sand, and every new visitor who comes to listen to its quiet whispers. It is a place that teaches us to see beauty not just in the grand and the new, but in the old and the weathered, and the quiet marks that time leaves behind. As we conclude our journey through the unseen city, we are left with a feeling of profound respect. Respect for the people who built it, for the people who guarded it, and for the quiet, enduring power of the land itself. Petra is not just a destination. It is a pilgrimage. It is a place that invites us to slow down, to listen, and to contemplate the quiet beauty of a world that is not a product of noise and speed, but of patience and time. Its silence is its greatest gift, a powerful reminder that sometimes the most important things are not said with words, but with a quiet, enduring presence. The greatest legacy of Petra is not its magnificent architecture or its fascinating history. Its most profound gift is the quiet feeling it leaves with you, a sense of stillness that lingers long after you have left its canyons. The unseen city teaches us a different way of seeing and a different way of being. In a world filled with constant noise and endless distraction, Petra offers a profound antidote. Silence. The city's quiet is not an absence of sound, but a presence, a living entity that envelops you and forces you to slow down. It is in this quiet that we can truly see. We see the delicate lines of the carvings that would be lost in the clamor of a crowd. We see the subtle shifts in the color of the rock that would be missed in a hurried rush. We see the vastness of the sky and the immensity of the land, and in that vastness we find a sense of our own smallness and our place in the grand scheme of things. The city also teaches us about the quiet power of endurance. The Nabateans did not build a city of stone and mortar that could be easily torn down. They built a city from the earth itself, a city that could not be conquered but could only be reclaimed by the slow, patient hands of time. Their legacy is a testament to the fact that the most enduring things are not built with brute force, but with quiet skill, ingenuity, and a deep respect for the natural world. They were not a conquering empire, but a people who thrived through trade and adaptability. Their quiet power is an inspiration, a reminder that true strength can be found in resourcefulness and wisdom, not just in might. Petra's beauty is a quiet, subtle beauty. It is not the flashy, ornate beauty of a grand palace. It is the beauty of a line carved into rock by human hands, of a color that shifts with the light, of a story that is told not with words, but with the language of the earth. It is a beauty that requires patience to see, a beauty that is earned by a quiet, steady exploration. It is a beauty that is in harmony with the natural world, a testament to the fact that the most beautiful creations are often those that work with nature, not against it. The city is also a reminder of the fleeting nature of all things. It was once a bustling metropolis, a hub of trade and culture, and now it is a quiet ghost. This is not a sad thing, but a powerful one. It reminds us that everything changes, that empires rise and fall, and that all that we build will one day return to the earth. It is a lesson in humility, a reminder that the most important things in life are not the things we possess, but the quiet moments of connection, the stories we tell, and the enduring beauty of the world around us. The rediscovery of Petra was not a grand triumph, but a quiet revelation, a testament to the power of one person's quiet curiosity. Johann Ludwig Burckhardt's journey was not a conquering of the unknown, but a humble and respectful encounter with a forgotten world. His story is a powerful reminder that the greatest discoveries are often made, not by those who shout the loudest, but by those who listen most closely, who have the patience to see beyond the obvious, and the humility to respect the quiet secrets of the world. As we leave the quiet city, we are left with a single, lasting impression, a sense of profound peace. The quiet of Petra stays with us, a gentle echo in our minds. It reminds us to slow down, to listen, and to find the quiet beauty that exists all around us, in the world and in ourselves. It is a reminder that the most enduring legacy is not the noise we create, but the quiet, beautiful stories that we leave behind. The unseen city is not just a place of quiet discovery. It is a place of quiet, enduring peace.